Have you ever noticed that the moment you stop chasing, she starts watching? She begins texting more, watching your stories, liking your posts, all the attention she once withheld. Now she's giving it freely. What changed? It's not magic, it's not manipulation, it's psychology. And today we're going to expose the Stoic truth behind why ignoring a woman works. Not out of spite, but out of power. 1. The psychology behind why ignoring works. In a world oversaturated with attention, the rarest commodity is silence. The modern woman, especially those considered attractive, receives constant validation. Likes, comments, swipes, stares. Men flood her with approval, hoping to gain her favor. But ironically, the very thing they give in abundance is what makes them invisible. Now, here's where the art of ignoring takes its psychological roots. Human beings are wired to desire what is scarce. When something is easily available, it becomes mundane. But when it's rare, it becomes valuable. This isn't game playing. It's rooted in behavioral psychology and reward mechanisms. The more you try to win her over with constant attention, the more you signal low value. Why? Because you're signaling that she's the prize and you're just another contestant in line. When you choose not to engage in that competition, when you stay grounded in your own world, suddenly you create contrast. While every other man is flooding her with validation, your silence speaks louder. She starts to notice that you're different. That difference triggers curiosity. That curiosity opens the door to attraction. Think about it like this. If everyone is running one direction, the man walking the other way stands out. The key is not rudeness or arrogance, it's self-containment. Ignoring doesn't mean mistreating, it means you've mastered your need to chase. You've flipped the dynamic from pursuer to prize. When you practice the art of ignoring from a place of internal power, you're using scarcity to elevate your value. This isn't manipulation, it's emotional economics. Attention is currency, and you're showing that yours is not handed out freely. That makes it, and you, valuable. In the female psyche, this dynamic creates a feedback loop. Why isn't he chasing me like others? Becomes, what does he have that makes him so centered? And that's when the tables turn. That's when she begins to pursue you. Not because you tricked her, but because you became rare in a world full of needy men. It works not because you're withholding something from her, but because you've prioritized giving that something to yourself. That's the core of why ignoring, when done from a place of grounded stoicism and value, works. Not just in romance, but in life. So, before you say another word, remember this: attention is not free, and the man who learns to withhold it wisely becomes unforgettable. This is where the true art and dark psychology of ignoring begins. 2. Building real value before you pull away. Let's make one thing crystal clear. Ignoring a woman only works if she already sees value in you. Otherwise, your silence isn't mysterious, it's invisible, and invisibility never attracts. Think of it this way. If a celebrity or high-status man stops responding to messages, people wonder why. They analyze every moment, every word he said. But if a stranger does the same, no one notices. That's the painful truth. Ignoring only creates impact when the person being ignored actually cares about your presence to begin with. So before you even think about pulling back, ask yourself, have I built myself into someone worth noticing? This is where the inner work begins. You need to become the man that commands attention without asking for it. You don't do that through looks alone, or wealth, or bravado. You do it through purpose, direction, and grounded confidence. Start with your body. A man who is physically disciplined radiates self-respect. Move to your mind. Are you sharpening your knowledge? Are you feeding your intellect? Then focus on your purpose. What wakes you up every day? What are you building, growing, creating? When a man walks into a room with self-possession, when he looks people in the eye without trying to impress them, when his energy says, "I don't need anything from anyone," that's when women notice. Only then, when she feels your presence and sees your potential, will your absence carry weight. Then, when you pull away, she won't shrug it off. She'll feel the silence. She'll start to wonder. And that curiosity breeds desire. This is not about becoming someone just to attract women. It's about becoming the man you were meant to be. The man who doesn't chase because he's already too busy leading. The man who doesn't need validation because he's fueled by vision. When you become that man, ignoring becomes a tool, not a tactic. It becomes an extension of your lifestyle. You're not faking scarcity, you're living it. You're not withholding attention as a trick. You genuinely have more important things to do. That's the key. Most guys try to ignore before they've built themselves. But that's like putting a diamond box around a plastic ring. It doesn't fool anyone. The box only matters if what's inside is valuable. So build, grow, level up. And when the time is right, your silence will say more than any text ever could. Because then, you're not just a man ignoring a woman, you're a man whose attention is truly earned. 3. Mastering emotional control. Here's the reality most men never face. You can't lead if you can't regulate. If a woman can control your emotions, she controls the relationship. Period. Emotional control is not about being cold, it's about being composed. It's about having the inner strength to remain centered, no matter what chaos is happening outside of you. That, my friend, is masculine energy at its peak. And it's the reason Stoicism has been followed for thousands of years by warriors, emperors, and now the modern man who refuses to fold under pressure. Women will test you, not because they're cruel, but because they need to feel your stability. They need to know that when the storm hits, you're the rock that doesn't move. So when she pulls away, goes cold, gets moody, or tries to provoke a reaction, your response is everything. Most men fail this test. They panic, they chase, they beg, they react emotionally, and prove they're not ready for a mature connection. But the Stoic man does the opposite. He breathes, he observes, he responds only when necessary, and always with control. Think about it. Have you ever said something out of anger or desperation, only to regret it later? That's because you gave away your power. When you're triggered, you're no longer leading. You're reacting. Now, imagine a different version of you. One who hears the insult but doesn't flinch. One who sees the drama but doesn't engage. One who feels the temptation to chase but instead remains calm and grounded. That man, that's the one she respects. That's the one she can't manipulate, because she knows nothing she does will shake his frame. And that unshakable presence, it's magnetic. You see, emotional control is rare in men today. In a culture where emotional reactivity is the norm, calmness is a superpower. Your job is to develop it like a muscle. Meditate, reflect, write, train. Do whatever it takes to gain mastery over your emotional world, because once you do, you don't need to ignore her out of strategy. You simply don't get affected anymore. You don't withhold to manipulate. You're just not pulled into chaos. You become a lighthouse in a stormy sea, and women deep down crave that stability more than any smooth talk or flexed bicep. Master your emotions, and you master the game. Lose control, and you lose everything, even your dignity. So choose the path of Stoic strength. Control yourself, and the world, especially her, will start to revolve around your calm. 4. Eliminate desperation completely. Desperation is the silent killer of male attraction. It's invisible to you, but painfully obvious to her. Every time you double text, over-apologize, or rush to respond, you're sending a loud, clear message. You're my only option. And here's what most guys miss. When a woman senses that you've placed her on a pedestal, she automatically looks down. Not because she's cruel, but because human nature devalues anything that seems too eager, too available, too desperate. It's basic psychology. When someone is too easy to get, we assume they must not be worth that much. You need to reverse this. Desperation repels, abundance attracts. If you're operating from scarcity, believing she's the only one who'll give you attention, that this is your last chance, you've already lost. Because when your energy screams, "Please like me," it robs you of your masculine edge. Women don't chase men who chase them. They chase men who chase their purpose. So how do you eliminate desperation? First, build a mindset of abundance. Know this. There are millions of women in the world. You don't need her. You don't even need anyone. What you need is your path, your mission, your internal validation. When that becomes your focus, women go from being a goal to a bonus. Second, start observing your behavior. Are you texting too often? Are you constantly checking if she's seen your story? Are you emotionally investing in someone who hasn't earned it? Pull that energy back. Give to yourself what you're trying to get from her: approval, validation, attention. Third, fill your life. Not with distractions, but with growth. Gym, business, passion projects, books, travel, new experiences. The fuller your life becomes, the less desperate you feel. And the less desperate you are, the more desirable you become. Remember, attraction doesn't bloom in desperation. It blooms in detachment. In knowing that whether she stays or goes, you're good, you're whole, you're complete. You don't win by chasing. You win by standing still, by letting her realize that your silence speaks louder than any praise, that your absence is heavier than any compliment. So if you truly want her attention, stop begging for it. Withdraw. Focus on your world and watch how fast she turns around, wondering where the desperate guy went and why the man standing in his place suddenly feels irresistible. 5. The art of subtle withdrawal. Let's be real, most men mess this up. They think ignoring a woman means ghosting her, cutting her off entirely, or giving her the silent treatment like some kind of punishment. But that's not power. That's immaturity, and women can see through it instantly. The true art of ignoring is found in subtlety. It's not about making her feel abandoned. It's about making her feel uncertain. Subtle withdrawal is when you reduce your presence just enough to spark curiosity without triggering resentment. You stop texting first all the time. You stop replying instantly. You leave her on read, not out of cruelty, but because you're actually busy. You still show up, but not predictably. And that unpredictability, that's what hooks her. You see, humans crave patterns, and when a pattern breaks, it demands attention. So when you subtly pull back, she begins to wonder, did I do something wrong? Is he losing interest? Why isn't he responding like before? And boom, that's when you've planted the seed of obsession. Here's the strategy. If you were texting daily, reduce it to every other day. If you were replying in 5 minutes, take 30. When you're on a call, end it first. Be the one who walks away, even when things are good. That leaves her wanting more. But, and this is critical, your pullback must come from a place of strength, not bitterness. She shouldn't feel punished. She should feel your value. She should sense that your world is full and she needs to earn access to it. Think of your attention as a luxury product. You don't see luxury brands throwing discounts and chasing customers. They let people come to them. That's how you treat your energy. You don't cut her off. You let her feel the difference between you being present and you being focused on your mission. And when she feels that difference, she starts chasing. She initiates. She tries harder. Why? Because mystery creates tension. Tension creates desire, and desire creates pursuit. So no, don't vanish into thin air. That's not ignoring. That's avoidance. Real power is in the artful retreat, controlled distance, strategic silence, gentle withdrawal that makes her question what she took for granted. And the best part, the more she wonders, the more she invests. And the more she invests, the more she desires you. That's the secret of subtle withdrawal. It's not rejection, it's recalibration. It's reminding her who the prize truly is. The silent power of mystery. In a world addicted to noise, silence has become the loudest signal. We live in an age where people overshare their lives. Every thought is tweeted. Every meal is posted. Every emotion is expressed instantly. And that's exactly why mystery, real, intentional mystery, has become intoxicating. When you stop constantly responding, when you pull back from sharing every detail, when you leave a little space between your words and your presence, you create the one thing that triggers curiosity like nothing else: uncertainty. And here's what most men miss. Women are emotional creatures. Their minds don't stop spinning. They read between the lines, dissect tones, analyze texts. So when you give her too much, you remove the intrigue. When you give her just enough, then withdraw, you plant seeds of wonder. What's he thinking? Why hasn't he texted back? Is he losing interest or just focused? That mental loop is what keeps you in her head. Silence isn't about being rude, it's about being unavailable. Not emotionally closed, but mentally centered. You're not ghosting her, you're giving her space to miss you. Because let's be honest, how can she miss someone who never disappears? Start small. Don't always initiate conversations. Don't respond instantly. Don't feel the need to fill every silence with words. When she asks, "What's on your mind?" you don't have to spill everything. Say less. Smile more. Mystery doesn't mean manipulation. It means discipline. You hold back. Not because you're afraid, but because you're in control. You're not trying to impress. You're letting her discover. When a man masters mystery, he becomes unforgettable. He becomes the one she can't quite figure out, the one who lingers in her thoughts even when he's not around. And here's the truth. Most men overexpose themselves. They think if they're more open, more expressive, more emotional, they'll win her over. But all they do is eliminate the chase. And without the chase, there's no fire. So instead, become the man who says little, but means much. The man whose silence is filled with confidence, not insecurity. The man whose mystery doesn't confuse, it seduces. Because in the silence, that's where desire grows. That's where imagination lives, and that's where you become the man she can't stop thinking about. 7. Set non-negotiable boundaries. Boundaries aren't walls, they're doors, and only the right ones should be allowed through. If you don't have boundaries, you're not a nice guy, you're a doormat. And women might smile at doormats, but they never desire them. In fact, the fastest way to lose a woman's respect is to tolerate behavior that disrespects you. You need to make it clear, without ever needing to say a word, what you will and will not accept. If she cancels on you last minute, you don't just reschedule like it's no big deal. If she talks to you in a disrespectful tone, you don't laugh it off because you're scared to lose her. You hold your frame. You make it known. I value myself. If you can't meet me there, you're free to leave. And here's the paradox. The moment you're willing to walk away is the moment she starts to chase. You see, boundaries create tension. They say, This man values himself more than he values my approval. That's rare. That's attractive. That's powerful. Let's be practical. What does a boundary look like? It's you saying no when your time is disrespected. It's you leaving when she's being manipulative. It's you choosing peace over chaos. And most importantly, it's you never breaking your own code, no matter how beautiful she is. Women test boundaries not because they're evil, but because they want to feel a man's strength. They want to know, can this man hold his ground when I push? If the answer is yes, her respect deepens. If the answer is no, her attraction dies. Your job is to build those boundaries not as reactionary shields, but as proactive filters. They don't protect you from her, they protect your value. They ensure only women who genuinely respect you are allowed to stay. So never apologize for your standards. Never lower your bar to make someone else feel comfortable. You're not being too much. You're being precise. And the right woman will rise to meet that precision. Because the man who holds boundaries doesn't just attract respect, he commands it. 8. Withdrawing attention gradually. Disappearing overnight isn't mysterious, it's immature. And if your goal is to use the art of ignoring to increase attraction, then you need to understand one thing. Pace matters. Pulling back needs to be gradual, strategic, controlled. You've probably seen it happen. You text her daily, she becomes distant, and then one day you decide to completely ignore her. No texts, no calls, just pure silence. And what happens? She moves on. Not because she doesn't care, but because the change was so abrupt it felt like rejection, not intrigue. Now imagine this. Instead of dropping off the map, you start responding a little slower. Instead of texting every night, you skip a day. You stop liking all her posts. You wait a bit longer before calling her back. You're still present, but less available. This creates psychological tension. She feels the shift. She senses the difference. But it's subtle enough that she can't call you out on it. And that's the sweet spot, where confusion becomes curiosity and curiosity becomes attraction. Remember, most women are intuitive. They'll notice when your energy shifts. They'll pick up on the delay in your replies. But because it's not aggressive or rude, they won't get defensive. Instead, they'll start trying harder. They'll initiate more. They'll reach out to re-engage what they feel is slipping away. That's the power of gradual withdrawal. You're not punishing her. You're just moving your attention inward toward your goals, your health, your life, and she can feel that shift. Over time, she begins to revalue your attention. She sees it as a limited resource again, and what's limited becomes precious. So don't ghost. Don't go cold. Move like a tide, slowly pulling away, leaving her wondering when you'll roll back in. That uncertainty is magnetic, because in her world, most men give too much. They're too eager, too consistent, too predictable. But you're different. You're calm, mysterious, and focused. And when a woman feels a man like that slowly withdrawing, her instinct isn't to move on, it's to chase. 9. Purpose over women, always. There's one truth that separates boys from men. A man's life is defined by his purpose, not by his relationships. Most men make women the mission. They revolve their thoughts, time, and energy around impressing her, keeping her, or winning her back. And in doing so, they lose the very essence that made them attractive in the first place. You need to flip the script. Women are not the reward, they're a reflection. They reflect how solid you are in your mission. When you're aimless, insecure, and needy, the kind of woman you attract will mirror that chaos. But when you're focused, driven, and self-possessed, you attract high-caliber women who respect your path. So, what is your purpose? If you don't know yet, good. That's your work. That's your focus. Purpose doesn't mean fame or riches. It means building something bigger than your ego. It means growing every day, moving with intention, living with discipline. When you truly step into your purpose, you don't chase women, you attract them. Why? Because your energy is magnetic. You have direction. You're not looking to be completed, you are complete. And that's self-sufficiency. It's irresistible. Look around at the men women admire most. They're not the ones constantly posting about love. They're building empires, creating art, leading movements, mastering themselves. They're too busy living their mission to be worried about who's texting them back. When you place purpose over women, you stop being reactive. You stop taking things personally. You stop compromising your values just to keep her around. And here's the irony. When you don't need her, that's when she wants you most. So set your goals. Build your vision. Work in silence. Grind in solitude. Become the man whose life is so full that a woman entering it is an addition, not a necessity. Because the man who lives for his purpose never begs, he never chases, he simply becomes. And women don't chase boys, they chase men who lead. 10. Stoicism, the final weapon. At the core of all this, ignoring, withholding, controlling, leading, is the Stoic mindset. Stoicism isn't just philosophy, it's a weapon. It's the foundation of emotional power, clarity of thought, and mastery over one's world. And when applied to relationships, it's transformational. Stoic men don't react, they respond. When a woman pulls away, the average man panics. He floods her with texts, begs for answers, and spirals into neediness. But the Stoic man, he pauses, he breathes, he waits. He understands that emotions are waves, they pass, and by not reacting to them, he maintains his power. Women are biologically wired to test a man's emotional stability, not to manipulate him, but to feel his strength. When she throws chaos at you and you stay calm, you prove that you're not a boy, you're a king. Stoicism is what allows you to ignore, not out of ego, but out of intention. It's what empowers you to remain silent, not because you're weak, but because you're focused. It's what helps you walk away when you're not respected, without anger, without bitterness, just peace. Let's break it down simply. When she ghosts, you stay calm. When she flirts with others, you don't flinch. When she comes back, you're not desperate. When she disrespects, you walk away, because your peace matters more than her attention. That's Stoicism in motion. In this chaotic, emotionally volatile world, the man who is grounded becomes the rarest type of man, and rarity breeds value. So, if you've ever wondered why some men are magnetic without saying a word, this is why. They've mastered themselves. They've cultivated stillness in the storm. They lead their emotions, not the other way around. Make no mistake, this is your superpower. Master Stoicism. And you'll never need to chase a woman again. She will feel your peace. She will crave your strength. And she will come to you, not because you begged, but because you became the man who needs nothing, yet commands everything. If this video gave you clarity, then you're already ahead of 99% of men who are still out there chasing validation. But now it's your time to act. Comment below. I ignore, I rise. That's your mantra from now on. Subscribe to Behavior Insight. We're building a tribe of men who don't chase. We lead. And if you want more of this raw, real Stoic wisdom, turn that bell on. Your silence is powerful. Use it.